You think that nothing has been happening in Fortnite since Chapter 2 released. But while you've been grinding out challenges, we've deciphered the most incredible hidden secrets in Fortnite that no one's noticed. We're leading right into the ultimate war between good and evil at the end of this season. An army of sludges with a secret villain overlord conspiring to reopen the 0 point from the end event that could blow us all up. We know everything now. Watch to the end as we need all Fortnite fans to help solve this mystery. Now I'm going to hand it over to my partner Tommy, who helped uncover all of this to begin with.
Thanks, Sam. In order to understand everything that's going on, we have to go all the way back to where the story began, the end of Chapter 1. At the very end of Chapter 1, the 7 visitors all worked together in order to unfreeze time and restore the 0 point after it almost destroyed the entire universe. Unfortunately, the result of this was the entire Fortnite island being sucked out of existence, and we were left staring at a black hole for 2 entire days. However, more was happening during this period than you think, as random numbers appeared every few hours and eventually some text began appearing. This text is essential to the storyline of Chapter 2. Basically, the 7 visitors noticed that even though they had contained the 0 point, something unusual was happening. Its power was being used somewhere else. They had to stop it, so immediately the visitors sent a select team to where the 0 point was being used. Introducing what we know as Team Ego, which consists of Chapter 2 Battle Pass skins. You have Journey, Turk, Cameo, 8-Ball, Remedy, and Outcast who went to this new island to check out what was happening. The crash plane you see on the map belongs to Ego, and we assume it crashed rather than landed because the plane came from another dimension, aka one of the 7 Fortnite islands. Still following? This is the beginning of Chapter 2, and it's what you effectively see in the launch trailer for the season. We'll come back to this later, but we now need to explore what happens now that Chapter 2 has begun and where it leads us to today. Just like me, I'm sure you guys probably haven't been paying that much attention to the Fortnite Chapter 2 storyline because it's been revealed exclusively through loading screens, subtle locations on the map, and Battle Pass skins. But we've cracked it. Let's talk about what has happened in the Fortnite story ever since Chapter 2 began and Ego appeared on the island. During the first week of Chapter 2, nothing looks out of the ordinary. This loading screen depicts that week in October where we are all just exploring and having fun after the huge fallout of the end event. However, unknown to everyone, there is something else happening in the shadows. A criminal organization is lurking in the darkness, and as seen in the Week 3 loading screen, they are selling weapons and other munitions to bad guys. This organization is called Alter, and they've been doing a lot in the shadows while we were having fun on the map. A small shack on the island can be found near Slurpy Swamp, and inside you will discover a chair, an empty open coffin, and a tub of slurp juice. As we all quickly discovered during Chapter 2, slurp juice heals anyone who touches it. Alter, the criminal organization, has been experimenting with this and brought someone back to life using slurp juice. This person is none other than Big Chuggus, as seen by the Batman Bane-inspired slurp juice mask he uses to keep himself alive. When the 0 point sucked everything in at the end of Chapter 1, we were then sent to a different island, the Chapter 2 map. We believe that this island is the same one as the other Chapter 1 map, but in a completely different dimension. This explains why we have some old POIs, but also a different layout and characters. Because of this, some characters have alternate versions of themselves as they have come from Chapter 1 and landed in Chapter 2's map. The best example of this is the Vex and Zev skins. These two are the exact same person from different dimensions caused by the black hole at the end of Chapter 1. One's good, however, and one's evil. You could tell by the fusion challenges because Zev is supposed to save a teammate while Vex is there to yeet and eliminate an enemy. It's important that you know that they're exact opposites, almost like they're alter egos? Alter, the evil organization, discovered Vex and Zev and began to do tests on them using the energy from the 0 point. These tests resulted in the two being fused together and they became the level 100 Battle Pass skin, Fusion. Fusion's back bling is the 0 point as it was used to create him. This creation of Fusion is what caused the 7 visitors to notice strange activity on the Chapter 2 map and send Ego, the special team that crashed in the plane, down there, but it had risks. Because Ego are from one of the other 7 islands, the Chapter 2 map has the alternate dimension versions of each Ego member. These alternate versions are the members of Alter. So basically, in the Chapter 2 dimension, Alter is an evil version of Ego, which means Ego is going to be fighting alternate versions of themselves, which is the whole theme of Chapter 2, Alter Egos. That's pretty much the entire premise of Chapter 2. Ego and Alter are two teams fighting who are good and evil versions of each other. Now that I've kind of explained it, what happens after Ego comes to the Chapter 2 island, which has evil versions of themselves on it to investigate the 0 point? Let me explain everything. You need to know this. While Ego sets up camp and builds barracks, headquarters, and more around the map, a new hero emerges from Slurpy Swamp. From the waters, we are introduced to Ripley. We already know that Alter has an army of similar creatures called sludges. Our theory is that Ripley was one of the soldiers inside Alter's massive army of sludges, although one day Ripley was accidentally transformed by the magical Slurpy Swamp and became both blue and free from the rule of Alter. It's unclear if the swamp itself turned him into a good guy, but he decides to go into hiding under fear of being experimented on by Alter or even being eliminated. While this is happening, Ego has finally set up camp and begins to investigate what is happening on the Chapter 2 island in the shadows. The week 4 loading screen shows us that the team quickly discovered that they have alternate versions of themselves on the island. They discovered the location of Scratch, who is the evil version of 8-Ball, an Ego member. 8-Ball realizes what he has to do, and he sets off in search of Scratch. Now, Ego has learned of Alter's existence. They need to learn more. While 8-Ball goes after his evil counterpart, Ego sends Cameo to go investigate Frenzy Farm as there is a large Alter presence there. This is where Cameo eventually discovers a cowering Ripley by accident, who is hiding from the enemy soldiers. Cameo helps sneak Ripley out of Frenzy Farm, but is eventually spotted and a chase begins. This can all be seen in the Hunter and the Hunted loading screen from week 5. At the same time, 8-Ball finally finds Scratch in Weeping Woods, and it seems that the only choice they have is to fight each other. We haven't yet learned who wins the fight between the two, but some major clues come later on in the season. Back to Ripley and Cameo, who are now running from Alter. They get back up from the rest of Ego and work together to save Ripley from being captured by the bad guys. As a result, Ripley now joins Ego. We don't see 8-Ball again after the fight, but Scratch in-game begins to develop some sort of virus or corruption. Once a player hits level 100, some damage is done to Scratch, and as the level gets higher, he eventually becomes more and more corrupted. You can't reverse this, and it's not an extra style, it's permanent. Our theory as to why Scratch is the only skin to have this is that he beat 8-Ball in the fight, but because he touched a version of himself from an alternate universe, he has begun to disappear. Scratch winning the fight explains why this corruption has not happened to 8-Ball, at least yet. At this point, however, nothing is really known about Alter or what it plans to do next. Well, that was until the latest loading screen revealed, and the massive bombshell was dropped. The leader of the secret organization is revealed, and it's Chaos Agent, a figure who has lurked in the shadows and is essentially the puppet master of the entirety of Alter. Chaos Agent doesn't have a good version of himself, which means he's not an evil version of someone from Ego. He might be the reason why in the Chapter 2 universe the Ego members are evil instead of good, because he recruited them. Now we know Chaos Agent is the ringleader, as the Alter logo is, well, his face, and I'm not sure why we didn't guess it all along. And through the loading screen, we see him staring at screens in his super evil lair, and they reveal what he plans to do next. One theory suggests that this takes place inside the redacted location on the map, and that's backed up by the CCTV camera of the door on the screens. If you don't know what the redacted location is, it's pretty much the big secret vault. Let's break down what's here because it's incredibly important to what happens next. On the top left screen, we can see Big Chuggus, which proves he was the test subject brought back to life at Slurpy Swamp. Below it is a monitor showcasing the giant army of sludges that Alter is building. At the far right screen is an X-ray analyzing Scratch and his new corrupted DNA. We think that this is Chaos Agent trying to learn why Scratch has become corrupted in the first place after fighting 8-Ball. It is absolutely in Alter's best interest to save themselves from Ego, as they become corrupted after fighting them. Because of this, Chaos Agent has no choice but to create a plan to save his soldiers from being wiped out by Ego. He is going to replicate what he did with Fusion in order to fuse both the Ego members and their evil versions together to create powerful Alter agents. But he can't use the 0 point as it's unstable and Fusion was a failure. So he decides he's gonna use the power from Kevin the Cube, who Chaos Agent is inspecting on one of the other screens. That seems to be Alter's plan in Chapter 2, to fuse both versions of everyone together to both save his soldiers and create an all-powerful army that can take control of the unstable Zero Point. Because Chaos Agent was not in the Chapter 1 universe, he has no idea of what kind of power the Zero Point has and how much destruction it created on the original island. Because of this, Ego has to stop him before it's too late. However, Alter is creating a very large army, not only of sludges, but fusioned humans, and their collection is growing quickly. Now let's take a look at the final monitor on the loading screen. Chaos Agent is analyzing the weather and views predictions of an incoming storm. A snowstorm. Sound familiar? This loading screen released in early December, and when you're watching this video, you probably know that right now in Fortnite, there are massive blizzards happening randomly in game. They are so strong that you can't see most things in front of you. We think that these storms are not an accident or natural at all. If you look on the map at the position of the redacted evil layer, you'll notice that it's on the exact same mountain as the weather station. That, combined with the fact that Chaos Agent was tracking the weather, implies that he is the one causing the snowstorms, either accidentally through his experiments or on purpose in order to distract and throw Ego off course. With a sludge army rising and Alter bent on fusing the two rivals together to control the Zero Point, an all-out war is really close to breaking out on the Fortnite island. It's up to us to stop it. This leads us to the future. We speculated that Alter is targeting the cube as a source of energy to experiment with fusing people together, and it seems that in the future, this is going to be a success. While the Ego member Cameo appears fine right now, it's possible that she may end up getting captured in the future by Chaos Agent, and he's gonna fuse her together with her evil version chick in order to create Serana. If you don't know, that's this season's upcoming secret skin. Serana is in the same set as Cameo and Chick and also bears the Alter logo. This proves the theory of what Chaos Agent plans to do. The skin hasn't released yet, which is why loading screens haven't shown Cameo getting captured yet, but we could assume that we'll soon see the storyline go in this direction. This one isn't as confirmed, but it looks like Turk may get fused with Riptide in the future to create an upcoming skin called Stingray. The only thing standing in Alter's way of defeating Ego and becoming the all-powerful, dangerous organization is the one thing that Ego might have to rely on. The one final key in how to stop Alter and its ever-growing army of sludges: Ripley. Will he be the one to help Ego defeat the evil Alter? Or will the 7 visitors have to step in? I guess we'll find out in the coming weeks as the storyline unfolds further. We've tried to disprove this theory many times, and we haven't really found much except for one specific plot hole, which ends up putting a hole in every other single theory out there, but can be easily explained. In the Chapter 2 trailer, we see Ego's plane crash and the team members emerge. But Ripley in the back? If Ripley was created at Slurpy Swamp, proven in the loading screens and even the descriptions of them, then why is Ripley shown to be crashing with Ego in this trailer? It pretty much contradicts everything shown in the loading screens, but to be honest with you, I'm just kind of assuming that Epic Games just threw him in the trailer to advertise all the Battle Pass skins, as it is after all one big commercial, let's be real. Either that or the trailer was made before Epic decided on Ripley's storyline, but other than that, we are pretty confident in our Chapter 2 storyline theory. Do you have your own guesses as to what Alter vs. Ego is all about, or what it'll lead to? Maybe you have something that proves us wrong. We'd really love to hear it in the comments below. And don't forget, if you guys want to subscribe, that'd be awesome. But anyways, keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.